Welcome into Josh Sadler's show. We're glad you're joining us. And Josh with me today. And Josh, I know the season didn't turn out like you wanted to. We wanted to be in the playoffs and talk about that right now. But I saw a lot of good kids this year. I saw a lot of good attitude. I saw a lot of good play. I saw a lot of good things, a lot of good coaching.
Yeah.
One-on-one coach. I am so proud of you, whether you won a game or lost a game.
Well, and at the end of the day, I'm proud of our kids. I'm proud of our coaching staff. I'll go to war with those guys any day of the week. And that was the message I sent to them. As we ramped up into the game Thursday night, I wouldn't trade any one of them for anything. Because no, we didn't necessarily hit it the way we wanted to in the win-loss column, but as a group, we came together. I think some of the kids became more brothers than teammates. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. Because, again, we've talked about it almost every week on this show, is what's this sport really about? Is it about the wins and losses? And then everybody can sit around and say, well, that's what a guy that hadn't won a whole bunch of ball games would say. But at the end of the day, I know where my faith lies, and I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And my job is yes, on paper it's to win football games, but my job is to help these young men become great men. And I feel like we're doing that stuff. We're talking and coaching the man thing into their lives. And, I felt like watching them walk off the field Thursday night, I felt like, they were a brotherhood. They were a band of brothers, and I'm very proud of that. Very, very proud of those young men for that.
Yeah, so am I, and your attitude and the way your team acts.
Yeah.
You never saw your team acting up this year. I don't know if you got how many personal fouls. Have you got any this year?
We did. We got a couple, but
other than that, great attitude, always ready to go. Helmet on.
Right.
They're not sitting on the sidelines moping. They're ready to go into the ball game whenever you want them, and it's just the team attitude altogether is just awesome. And you're building on that. Going to lose some kids to graduation, of course.
We're going to lose 23 seniors, and every one of them's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Every one of them's going to hurt. And you forget about.
You've gotten to know them, hadn't you?
Well, yeah. But forget about the football stuff of it. It's just you're watching another group of young men walk away from you, and that's tough. And these kids were, going to their sophomore season whenever I first got here. And, it's tough to see them go. It's tough to watch them walk. And I've been doing this, going on 25 years now. So, every year it's the same thing. It's that same gut-wrenching feeling that you have, watching kids walk away from you, knowing that the most you're going to be able to talk to them or see them or everything else is just in passing or on a phone or, maybe if you get a chance to call them up and say, hey, let's meet and have lunch or whatever it is like that. You don't get that daily, look them in the eyes and, hug them and all that kind of stuff like that you did once. And, and then I guess you got to trust your teaching and everything as they wander out into the world on their own, So, it is tough, and there's 23 young men in here that have busted their tails and have given everything they have for the program and represented it to the best of their ability. And, I can't thank them enough for everything that they've done.
Yeah, and some of those guys I'm going to miss because they come up and talk to me all the time too.
Right.
But we have people like Sammy that come back.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to be there. They're going to say, hey, Coach, I'm coming home this weekend. I want to come home.
Well, and that never goes away and it never gets old.
Family.
Absolutely. You got kids like Connor, Sammy, Kevin, all those guys that have gone off and played and they come back and they still want to be a part of the program. And we're going to always open the doors up for them and welcome them with big open arms, because, again, I tell them this, I'm a phone call away. No matter what. You may disagree with me, may not like the way things, shook out or went or what, maybe the happiest guy in the world. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I need them to know that I love them, and I need them to know that I'm one phone call away, good, bad, or ugly. Yeah. If it's because, they're having their first kid and they're excited and they don't know what to do and they need some advice or whatever it is, call me. If it's because they've messed up in the worst way that they can and they just need somebody, call me. It doesn't matter. And that's the relationship you try to build with these kiddos, through their high school experience, just being somebody for them, whether it be for advice, just to talk to, whatever it is, leaning post, whatever it is, as they travel through this tough thing called life. Because, let's face it, every single one of us, every single one of us, you guys are listening right now, Every single one of us have got kicked by life.
Yeah.
And we've always had to have somebody to lean on. Somebody to call, somebody to get advice from, somebody to just rant to if you need to. And, that's what we hope we can be for these kids, is just those people that they have another person to rely on.
It's not just them. I can do the same thing with you too. I'm older than you, Josh, but I feel the same way that if I needed something, I know to call you and say,
Absolutely.
"Hey, man, buddy, I'm here. I'm this. I need this." And I know you'd help me out.
Well, and
that's just a great relationship and the great thing. People don't know how great a guy we have here at Killeen High School, and the way he works with the other programs, the way he's the athletic coordinator. So he has to worry about basketball and baseball and everything. So it's not just football. And he knows every one of these kids in these sports, and he shows up.
Yeah. Well, and
love that.
In 25 years, the number of calls you get at 2 and 3 a.m. with just random issues or maybe even a big issue, you have to be there for kids.
Yeah.
That's what in my opinion God put us in these positions for. Is for us to be there for kids when they need us. And so, that's what we're here for, and that's that. As long as I'm here, is what this coaching staff and what this program is going to be about. But you alluded to it. We're starting basketball up now, and I'm as geeked as anybody in the city right now because both our basketball programs, girls and boys, open up with big wins in their opening nights. And I can be more proud of our basketball programs. Both of them kind of, they took it on the arm a little bit last year. They struggled a little bit last year, but to open the season the way they have, coming out with guns a-blazing and hitting on all cylinders, and the boys beat a good Round Rock McNeil team the other day, and then the girls won in 4 overtimes, had to gut it out against Waco High. I'm just very proud of all of our kids, and that's program-wide, for everything that they're putting into this thing, for our coaches, for our school, for their families, for everything. It's just, it's really, really, really great to see our kids fighting like they're fighting.
Yeah, and they've got some beautiful facilities to use now.
100%.
And you see what's on my arm still, buddy?
I love it. Yeah.
I still got your.
Well, you're still part of the family.
Still got the family grind, baby.
That's it.
Still got that.
Well, and I hope that our kids, because again, that's something we preach through the entire program. What I'm talking about, from swimming to football to every sport that we have, is that family, that forget about me, I love you mentality. And I hope our coaches, continue to spread that love and that word. And you can't. I don't feel like you can ever be a complete program without that thought process. Without that selflessness in your program, in your system, in your thought process. So, I'm proud of our kids for the way they've embraced that culture, of a selfless mentality, because we live in a world that's very selfish. And, it's all about likes and views and look at me and the number of offers or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're put here to help our brothers and our sisters, and to make sure that everybody's okay. And so we're going to keep preaching family, that selfless mentality of taking care of one another and working for one another. And we get to take that piece to another level now that we jump into off season. Unfortunately, it's a little bit earlier than I wanted to, but now we're fixing to jump into off season. We're fixing to really dive down deep into what it means to be a family. And our young kids, our freshmen, sophomores, and juniors are going to get to really go through some tough stuff to try to figure out if they can build a team that will be able to overcome the things that this year had for us.
Right.
That we're going to be able to get back on the right side of good, which I know they can.
I know we can't sit here and talk about all 23 of your seniors right now, but is there anybody you want to highlight? Anything? You had one of the best passers in the district.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna read every one of them's name off.
That's awesome.
Jade Montgomery, Carday Hicks, Raymond Howard, Janari Franklin, Jamarcus Wilson, Demirte Hemphill, Keyshawn Campbell, Cameron Blocker, Christian Bryant, Quentin Moody, Leland Garcia, Malachi Garland, Dawood Al-Mashadani, Josiah Mendez, Kenneth Gabble, Kenyon Hardiman, Jonah Talili, Joed Eliam, J.N. Mans, Diego Cruz, Ethan Isbell, Darius Reed, and Tyler Majette. you want to highlight one or two, but to me, it's the group itself.
It is.
Everybody would like, you sit around and you talk and you say, well, Carday was a big-time explosive running back and Raymond was a big-time explosive wide receiver and, Keyshawn's one of the fastest kids in the state of Texas, and I mean, there's a lot of things that you can sit around and talk about, but, them as a group, they were a great group to be around and to watch how they've grown. I mean, I watched, Quentin Moody, grow into, one of our biggest touchdown producers towards the end of the season. I mean, he's a guy that when we started out, the season we were in a lot of four-wide personnel, and as we ended the season, we got more tight end and fullback sets, and he played his role, and he didn't complain about it all year long. He just did his job, and then, the last game of the year he was rewarded. He had 2 touchdowns, I mean, but I just watched those guys continue to develop, and I'm gonna highlight the guys that don't get very much attention. I'm gonna talk about, Jonah Talili, Joy Eliam, J.N. Mans. I'm going to talk about Ethan Isbell. I'm going to talk about Darius Reed and Tyler Majette, those guys that they're playing in the trenches, so to speak, and they don't really ever get a whole lot of that notoriety. But those guys, I mean, they have a thankless job, and we talk to those guys every year about the fact that, hey, your name's not ever going to be in the paper. It's not going to be highlighted all over Twitter. You just have to understand that your job is one that'll be thankless. It's one that's the most important job out there because you have to protect all the dudes that get to score the points and make all the tackles, And so, just understand that we love you, and that's what we tell at the beginning of the year. And as we go through the year, I mean, they're the ones that you think if you sit up in stands, you listen, come on, line block. Or D-line's getting blown up. I mean, that's usually, if the quarterback's scrambling around, that's immediately what everybody thinks. And, it's kind of it's that job that everybody just yells at and they don't thank you, because, again, when we throw a big touchdown, everybody doesn't go high-five necessarily the offensive line, try to get our quarterbacks to every time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, everybody they look at where the ball ended up. Instead of those 5 guys that necessarily made that block to make sure that we get the ball where it needed to go. So, I mean, those guys don't get a whole lot of pub. And, those 5 guys up front and the 3 guys that we had down the D-line, they're the ones I like to highlight because, again, they're the ones that they do the dirty work, so to speak. The job that really nobody wants because there's not a whole lot of pub with it.
Yeah.
And
it's get down in the 3-point stance or whatever, and you got to hit somebody, hold them, hit them, and
right.
Then get up and do it again and again and again. I can't bend over and stand up that many times.
I know.
mean, it's like
well, and like a kid like Jonah Talili, he played with a groin injury the last half of the year. And I mean he was limited in practice every single week, for the last 5 weeks. But he continued to just gut it out every single game. I mean, he was limited mobility, couldn't move very well, but he still went out there and he still fought his tail off. And those are the things that I'll remember. The touchdowns are cool and the scoring and all that stuff is nice, but it's those kids that give those gut-wrenching performances and that give you everything that they have, no matter how bad they're hurting or anything like that. Those are the ones that you really you hang your hat on, so to speak.
Well, I got to see a lot of that on the sidelines.
Yeah.
That's one thing I did appreciate about being on the sidelines the past couple of years, being able to see the kids working so hard and they come off exhausted.
Oh, absolutely.
And they may have to sit down for 3 minutes and have to go back on the field again, but they put that helmet on, they went back on the field. So
right.
Y'all are doing a great job. Can't wait till next year, buddy.
Yeah.
Can't wait for baseball season. We'll get you back on the radio. Hopefully we're going to have us an app and we'll actually be broadcasting, get you a headset and everything.
Yeah, well, I don't know if everybody needs to hear all that, but I'm definitely going to come and visit with you some. That's
I'm not
sure.
paying him or nothing. Don't get me wrong, folks. I'm not going to give him no money, but he'll get the notoriety.
Yeah. Well,
and he enjoys with the kids.
Yeah, and I'm excited. Like I say, I'm fired up about our basketball programs right now. They're rocking and rolling. I'm excited to see what the spring brings with with track, with baseball, softball, with soccer coming up. Yeah. I'm excited about all of our sports. I mean, we got a ton going on. Golf's fixing to crank up too. So I mean, we got a lot going on. Swim. I mean, I could just sit here and go down the list. But I'm excited about what the spring brings for us, and I'm extremely excited to see what our young kids in this football program are able to put together in the off season. We got a great core nucleus coming back. You hinted on it. We had one of the top passers in the district. We got a couple of the top linebackers in the district too, and returning 3 defensive linemen and 3 offensive linemen. So I'm excited to see, what's gonna come out of this. Because the offseason is going to be a tough time for them. They're going to have to really band together, to get themselves through it. And so I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what the future football team looks like, but I'm also excited to see how our programs finish out the year.
Well, we're proud, very proud of our Roos, that's for sure. And I'll be around. Anything you need, I'm just a phone call away, and I'm ready to come up here. And if we want to do a play-by-play in the Duncan booth or something like that at a carnival, I've done that before.
Yes,
so
sir. Yes,
we'll
sir.
do anything we do for our hometown kids.
100%.
So, appreciate you, Josh. I appreciate you taking every week off, a little bit of time to spend with me, man.
Oh, Dan, it's worth it. It's worth every minute of it, and I appreciate everything you do for our kids. Appreciate everything you do for our programs. People like you are the heart and soul of what we do, and we sure do appreciate everything that you sacrifice for our kids, for our programs, for our district. And, I hope we get to continue to do this for a long time.
Yep. I'm not going anywhere, and I'm ready to get on the boat.
Absolutely. Me too. It's time to go fishing, isn't it?
All right. You give me a call?
All right, buddy. We'll do.
All right. As you always like to end the program.
100%. As always, go Roos.